Hello and welcome. My name is Jake and I'm joined by Charlie as we discuss the world of football with a focus on data. This is Football with the Faff. Hello and welcome to what is a review of Gameweek 6 in the Premier League. I'm joined by Charlie again and we're mixing things up a little bit. He's decided to use Microsoft Copilot to write this week's intro.
Yeah, so I've been investigating Microsoft Copilot for coding and things like that, for chemistry, and I thought I'd give it a little go, so let me know what you think. So, the intro goes as follows. Welcome to Football with the Faff, the football podcast where numbers meet the pitch. Hosted by two passionate students, we're here to break down the beautiful game through the lens of statistics, all without the jargon of seasoned football journalists. Join us each week as we dive into the data behind the drama, exploring everything from player performance metrics to team tactics. Whether you're a stats geek or just curious about the numbers that drive the game, we've got something for you. Expect plenty of laughs, learning and lively debates as we navigate the world of football with fresh eyes and a love for the sport. And then here's my favourite line. So grab your calculator and your team scarf and let's get into the stats. What do we think, Jake?
It's amazing. It's amazing. Oh God! Oh. I tell you what, I'm speechless. I mean,
that
wow.
last line is my favourite. Imagine going to the
slogan?
game. Have you got everything? Yeah, wallet, season ticket, scarf. Oh, calculator.
Oh yeah. Well, you got a phone. You can get some decent scientific calculators on that.
Well, there you go.
Well, that's fantastic.
Yeah. So I thought it was quite funny. Yeah. It also suggested some alternative names for the podcast. I've lost it though.
I mean,
there you go.
The best name. But...
Yeah. They suggested one which was Stats and Studs, which I actually didn't think was that bad.
One of the potential names we had going was Stats with Twats. So, it's a similar line.
But yeah, so, well, there you go. There's Microsoft Copilot's answer to our little intro. Yeah.
Brilliant.
So, shall we kick off with talking about the weekend?
Yeah, yep. And there's nowhere better to kick off than the first game of the weekend. I think quite a lot of eyes on it, and that was Newcastle at home against Man City. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I have to admit I had it on in the background. I had a West Brom away at Sheffield Wednesday on my TV, which obviously have to mention as well. We're recording this on the Tuesday. I'll be at West Brom tonight, but sadly on Saturday afternoon, a West Brom fan in the away end passed away, which is always never nice to hear. And I think they're doing something quite nice to honour him today. I think it's black armbands and a minute's applause and all of that. So nice little touch.
I think that's the nice thing about football, when there is tragedy or something, and you really see people come together, whether it's trying to help that person or whether it's the aftermath of it, and showing support to those affected.
Yeah, so hopefully that'll be a nice little touch this evening.
Okay, so do you want to go back into what you thought of the game?
Yeah, it looked like Newcastle were working hard. City were kind of doing what City do, keeping a lot of the ball, trying to break them down, and in the end it didn't come to anything. City without Rodri is obviously a bit of a beast we don't know too much about. And De Bruyne is out as well. I know he spent a lot of last season out. But the one player I wanted to highlight for Newcastle, who I thought was the deciding factor in them getting a point, was Joelinton. I thought he was fantastic.
Yeah, unlucky not to get his own goal. on the turn as well.
Yeah, so just obviously delving into a few of the stats, he made the most tackles, which was 4. He won all 4 of his aerial duels. He recovered 6 loose balls, which was bettered by Lewis Hall, who recovered 10, which I don't seem to remember at all for some reason.
No.
Which is the most of the weekend, as far as I can tell. So yeah, a couple of blocks and passing accuracy over 85%. I mean, he just kind of ticked all the boxes on and off the ball. So yeah, it's quite amazing that Steve Bruce managed to reinvent Joelinton as a central midfielder. But yeah, well, real coming of age.
That's the sign of a true great manager.
But yeah, how did you think they got on?
To be honest, it was quite similar to how I expected. Maybe a little bit more from City, but yeah, City go 1-0 up. A really nice goal by Gvardiol, turning up in the box. Although everyone seems to be in the box for City, it wouldn't surprise me if Ederson one day just gets on the end of a cross. Yeah, and then they didn't really make the most of their chances. There was one where Pope gave the ball away on the halfway line, and Gundogan had it, and he sort of takes a couple of touches, then goes, "Oh, okay, I'll shoot now." But by then, Pope's in a decent position, so he's able to catch it with ease. And I was watching it at the time and going, that could come back to bite you. When you're 1-0 up at St James's Park, you got to take chances like that. And then obviously Gordon wins a penalty and scores it quite nicely, and it was sort of up for the taking then. I think either side could have won it, but a draw was quite fair in the end.
Yeah, I kind of echoed, especially a bit at the end. It wasn't a typical City bombardment. It did feel like a draw was justice for kind of whatever reason, which is quite rare for Man City, really. I found that quite interesting, yeah, because I felt the exact same. I got to the end of it and I thought, well, look, City are definitely the better team, but I think a draw is probably just about right.
Yeah, and I think, we haven't really seen City in form. We've more seen Haaland in form this season. So I think as more City players get to their best, you'll see the more dominance displays again.
Yeah, no, I think that, there's not really any doubt in my mind that City will win the league, unfortunately. But yeah, obviously, fingers crossed we have a little bit more entertainment this year and it goes right to the wire. But yeah, I think we're quite a way off seeing City at their best.
Yeah. Okay, so shall we move on next to Forest against Fulham, which quite an interesting game. Both sides maybe surprising some people with a few of their games. Both showing their capabilities to be threatening. But how did you feel it went when they clashed?
Yeah, surprisingly a game of quite low quality. I think with the attacking players on the pitch, I mean, Pereira, Iwobi. For Forest, you've got Elanga, Hudson-Odoi. Although I'm not actually sure Elanga ended up starting, did he? I don't remember seeing him when I watched the highlights.
He definitely played. I'm not sure if he started though.
Maybe he just wasn't very involved.
He did claim a penalty, but
no, he didn't start.
Yeah.
But yeah, adding to that, Smith Rowe, Ward-Prowse. Yeah, it just looked like a lot of kind of low quality. If it wasn't for the penalty, it seemed like it was swinging towards a 0-0. I mean, I've got quite an interesting stat here of between the two teams, there were 24 shots in total. How many do you reckon were on target?
6.
2, and one of them was the penalty. So yeah, just a game of very low quality from two teams that aren't low quality teams. So yeah, just a interesting one as well to see Wood and Awoniyi playing together and kind of a diamond in midfield. I know it wasn't really a diamond, but 4 central midfielders for Forest. It was just I don't know, Nuno's kind of working something a little bit strange. And I know Fulham won, but I just expected a little bit more from Fulham, if I'm honest. I thought it might be a little bit more convincing.
Yeah, and early, when it was 0-0 early on in the match, Wood, I think, scored. There was a set piece put to the back post, headed back across, and he sort of sticks out a leg to put it in. And it's not clear if it's fully over the line, but he's offside anyway. But that might have been a turning point. Yeah, as you say, for Fulham, they potentially got away with one, with Forest being quite wasteful. Because Forest had chances, but they just they couldn't find the sort of killing edge to get back into the game. I think that Fulham will take this as a big 3 points though, and it could help them really solidify themselves in mid-table.
Yeah, I don't really know where Fulham's ceiling is. I mean, I don't see them banging on the door for Europe, so
No.
I just don't quite know. But yeah, I think my main takeaway from it was I just expected a little bit more quality in the game.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so, well, we've had the early game, but what about the earliest goal in a game? Brentford West Ham. I mean, it's quite interesting that Brentford have now gone 1-0 up in the last 3 games within a minute, and yet they've not won any of them.
I'd actually go a little bit further. I think the strangest thing was that Brentford had 57% of the ball.
Oh, wow.
I mean, for a team that are not known for that at all, and West Ham kind of rebranding with a Spanish manager, I was really amazed. I saw a little bit on the weekend on Twitter, not sure where it came from, not sure if it's true, that Kudus and Lopetegui had a bit of a scrap, and Kudus apparently had to be restrained. And I'm wondering if that's going to be the story of West Ham's season. I mean, it looked like a game of a team playing a team on very much on their level. Yet Brentford will walk away sort of okay, had quite a bit of the ball, but maybe a little bit disappointed to draw at home. And West Ham will walk away frustrated again against the team that they feel they should beat, but to be honest, had no right beating. I thought Brentford worked harder and had more of the ball, and you've got to be one or the other. I mean, West Ham and the Moyes were a set-piece team. They were organised. They were brave. They weren't afraid of a big tackle. I don't quite know what they are now. The first couple of weeks it looked like they were trying to play through the thirds, but then they bought Fulkrug for some reason, who just doesn't seem to suit that at all. Antonio up front. It's kind of a mismatch of styles, and none of them are dominant. So you've gone from Moyes to trying to slowly rebrand, and you're ending up playing football in a way that just doesn't suit any of the players. I can't quite get my head around that.
It does seem strange, and I did see some West Ham fans talking about putting Souček up front because they've been playing Antonio a lot, and he's not exactly been great either. So it does sort of feel they've got a lot of good players, but it's really not the way to use them, and you're sort of struggling to see where they're going to improve or how they're going to improve, because as of right now, it just doesn't seem like the system's going to work.
Yeah, and Souček, I think, is criminally underrated. I do have to say, I think he's a really good player, and that was his 20-something Premier League goal.
Oh, wow.
For reference, I think Paqueta, who is meant to be their kind of creative mastermind, I know he's missed a lot of football, but is under 10. I think Souček is criminally underrated, pops up in both boxes in a good way, obviously not own goals. Massive threat on set pieces, works hard, always tops the distance covered. Yeah, I think he's enormous for him. I certainly wouldn't move him out of central midfield, even though he's scored a load of goals.
No, I wouldn't.
But yeah.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens there, because, as I say, they've got good enough players to be able to perform well and push for Europe. But based on the 6 games they've played this season, I don't
a long
see
way
it.
off it. Yeah. Yeah, and just to add in someone to pick out for Brentford, someone that we actually haven't seen a lot of in the Premier League, is Mikkel Damsgaard.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, he made 8 tackles on the weekend, which was the highest on the pitch, and he's kind of known for being a little bit. I don't want to compare him to Eriksen, but he's kind of known for being a bit more of a ball player rather than a scrapper. And maybe he's come into his own in the Premier League. I don't know, but just some interesting outlying numbers for him makes me think maybe he is becoming a bit more of a workhorse in midfield and could really have a big impact on Brentford's season.
Yeah. I've always been quite excited by him. I think he can get to a good level, and I don't think we've seen Damsgaard yet, if you know what I mean. You know, we've not seen all that he's capable of yet in the Prem, but I think he can be a good player for Brentford, and you know, hopefully help them, you know, whilst they've not got maybe a seasoned striker up front.
Yeah. Well, shall we move on to the next game?
Yep. So next up, it was a mighty Everton against Crystal Palace.
Yeah. Everton picking up points. It's big. Yeah. They need them.
Yeah, multiple points in one game. Yeah. Who knew?
Yeah. An interesting situation for Everton. Yeah. A really, really poor start to the year. I think Palace, I think it's fair to say they've underwhelmed to start this season. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, to pick it out, 2 unbelievable goals from Dwight McNeil.
Yeah.
Well, really 2 goals from 0.3 xG if you bring your calculator to the games.
Yeah, I only saw the highlights of this game, and I think they'd be very disappointed with the goal they conceded. Gahey just sort of stabbing the ball in. And then shortly after, they almost conceded the exact same goal. This time it was Munoz. So I think at the start they were looking shaky, and you might go, oh, this could be another battering if they don't sort themselves out. But to be fair to them, they did. It could have been 3-1. Doucouré was put through, may have been offside, but you know, it's nice to see Everton picking up points and maybe starting to get a little bit of a turning point now.
Yeah. I think Iliman Ndiaye, who's kind of playing, well, I think he's out on the left at the moment, is going to be an enormous player for Everton this year, and Dwight McNeil's come into a bit of form as well. Calvert-Lewin, obviously, they need to get scoring as well, but I think they've got enough. Everton, I don't really see him going down unless there's a big points deduction or something. It's just when it goes bad for Everton, it seems to be really, really bad.
Yeah.
And as soon as they can kind of, I don't know, stem that flow every now and then, it's okay. But they've had some really, really bad times over the last few years. And I think this was a really important result for Dyche and Everton.
Yeah, and as well, like seeing again, you know, new owners coming in. Could that be a light for them to follow? You just hope that they can stabilise a bit, and you know, you want everything to be decided on the pitch and allow them to show their quality rather than fighting an uphill battle. But yeah, you know, I'm happy for them getting their first win of the season. Not an easy side to face, but as you said, Palace certainly aren't at their... They're not at what we know they can be at. And Elise is a big miss. You saw what he did last season, see what he's doing for Bayern this season. But I think you'd still expect a bit more from them.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Just to pick out another couple of numbers from the game, I know Palace lost, but Tyreek Mitchell made 9 tackles, which was
Oh.
a real high in the league for the
Mm.
weekend. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin was involved in 14 aerial duels, which again was the most in the Premier League this weekend. And I remember a couple of weeks ago saying Calvert-Lewin scoring, even though when they lost kind of 3-2 on the bounce a couple of weeks, if they can play into Calvert-Lewin a little bit and stop this kind of, I don't know what the word is, but kind of wing play, trying to play really quickly along the floor
Mm.
and play into their talents a little bit more. That doesn't mean always smashing it long,
Mm.
but it might mean sometimes instead of trying to play through the likes of, even like McNeil, you see both of his goals, defence are sitting off and he receives the second ball. He's not the first pass. There's nothing wrong with playing into Calvert-Lewin and playing around that. Not everything has to go long, but if you've got a centre forward that is unbelievably good in the air and is happy for a scrap, is happy to kind of do all the unselfish work and not score, that's a positive you can play into. Not everything needs to come down the wings, and I thought that was a real key. I know the goals were scored by McNeil, but I thought we saw a change in how they're playing, and they've got quality players that they can surround kind of Calvert-Lewin's head with. If you've got Ndiaye waiting for the knockdown, you've got McNeil waiting for the knockdown,
Mm.
that's also a fine tactic. If you think that's the best way to get the ball to those players, instead of playing 100 passes, that's fine as long as it gets to them. So yeah, I think they're starting to do more of what I thought Everton would do.
Yeah, I think so. Right, let's move on to a game I'd say is decided by corruption in Arsenal-Leicester. So obviously Arsenal go 2-0 up, then they bottle it. By the way, what a hit James Justin scored for his second goal.
Both of them. I thought both were brilliant. 2 goals from 0.1 XG.
Well, the first one he was helped with a bit of deflection, but
I still took it well, I thought.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But the second one was really something special.
Yeah.
Hitting it outside the boot like that. Yeah, then obviously going into added time away at Arsenal. Trossard, well, there's a corner to the back post. Trossard tries to get a shot away, deflects off, I think, Ndidi, and goes in. So very unfortunate for them. And then a bit later on, Arsenal are through again. There's a save made, and then Justin tries to clear the ball, but ends up just giving it to Havertz, who taps it in. So I think it's a bit disappointing for Leicester. You know, you come back from 2-0 down. You don't want to let a point go like that, because it's just a bit of sloppiness creeping in at the end of the game. I'd like to point out that it was 2-2 when Oliver Skip did go off, so, you know, evidently he was really pulling the strings.
He really should have been sent off as well. I thought he was very fortunate. But yeah, no, I'm not really that much to dig into, I think. Arsenal were wearing them down and sort of waiting for that opportunity. Leicester did well to hang on as long as they did, I think, to, like you said, a little bit of fortune with the first one and an unbelievable finish. Any other day, that would have been 2-0 with half an hour to go and Arsenal would have cruised to the end. And Leicester's goalkeeper made 13 saves, which was, I'd imagine, is pretty close to what most goalkeepers have made this season. So, yeah, that kind of more how I expected Newcastle Man City to go, to be honest, that kind of flow of the game.
Yeah, I can see that.
But yeah, Arsenal in the end got what they deserved, and Leicester will be gutted that they didn't manage to hang on, having clawed their way back into it, I think, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so now moving on to another part of London, in Chelsea-Brighton, which ended 4-2. All goals in the first half, which is certainly something. Who was your star player for this match, if you had to pick one?
Oh, well, I thought Nicholas Jackson was very unselfish with a lot of his work. Yeah,
that's true.
Levi Colwill was really getting them going after they conceded. Yeah.
Sancho won a penalty.
God. Yeah, I thought he looked quite good actually, Sancho.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, only one player we need to talk about. Cole Palmer scored 4. I mean, it's getting ridiculous. He is a fantastic talent, and he's proven it.
I've seen he's already got the joint most hat-tricks in the Premier League for Chelsea. I mean, that's insane. I can't believe that no one's got more than 3 in the Premier League for Chelsea.
Yeah, that surprised me, actually.
Yeah. But, fair play to him. He's surely going to break that soon enough. But, yeah, I mean, at the start of the game, there's a bit of a cock-up at the back for Chelsea. Sanchez comes flying out. Superman.
He's looking very unsure, isn't he, Sanchez? He's not looking right, is he?
Yeah.
He's not. He doesn't fill me with any kind of confidence when I watch him in goal.
No, not at all. Well, he also gave the ball away for Brighton's second goal.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, how many goalkeepers have they had in the last 2 years, though?
How many do they have now? They have about 7. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
I thought Kepa played well against Southampton. He'd have done a better job.
Yeah.
He was on loan. Yeah. I thought Sanchez was a big part of the reason Chelsea look so unsure at the back. That needs to change. He's looking terrible.
Yeah, and obviously, I think Palmer's free kick will definitely be the one he remembers the most out of all the goals.
Oh yeah, that was incredible. Yeah, but yeah, not really that much to dig into, is there? Really, Brighton had 59% of the ball, but I mean, Palmer needs 10 touches, and that's about it. And
I think it was a much more comfortable win for Chelsea than the scoreline dictates. Really.
Yeah, I'd say so too. Thought Sancho looked really good as well. On the highlights, looked sharp. Won the penalty, like you said. Game's kind of been playing at a nice pace for him. They have a bit of the ball, but he's on the inside. He's not having to take players on the outside like he was at Man United. He's on the left, which he wasn't at Man United for most of it. Yeah, looked really, really good. Impressed with Sancho.
And then the evening kick-off on Saturday was Wolves-Liverpool. Probably a bit more difficult than Liverpool were expecting, especially against a side that's been ravaged by virus.
Yeah, Arne Slot said at the end that there's no way Wolves will go down, no way that they're that bad. They're a really, really good team. And I think he also said it in the pre-game that they've done a lot of research on them and that there's no way they should be bottom. They're a fantastic team. I think he's right. I think Wolves with a few more back to fitness, I think will be back in a good place. They've got a really good manager, and yeah, they ran Liverpool pretty close, but in the end, like you said, a win for Liverpool that wasn't that comfortable. That said, I think Konate's mistake was a big part of it. Wolves didn't have too many good chances before that, so that was their route back.
Yeah, and it was just awful. But yeah, and then obviously Wolves then shoot themselves in the foot by giving away a pen about 2 minutes later. So yeah, I think Liverpool were the better side, but it just shows if you don't take your chances, you do allow teams to get back at you.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay, so moving on to Super Sunday. We had Ipswich Villa, which is a very good game. Ended 2-2. I think most people would have expected Villa to be able to find a way to win, but Delap, he's been on fire.
Yeah. Looks like a real... He's built like a centre forward as well. Looks like a real asset for Ipswich. I thought he was good in the Championship at Hull. So nice to see him kind of taking that step up well. On the other side, it's always good for Villa if Watkins is scoring. Morgan Rogers is looking good again, so you want to keep those important players in form, especially with Bayern in the week, I believe.
Yep.
So yeah, although they didn't manage to get anything. Well, they did, but they didn't manage to get the win that they wanted. It's hard to be too disheartened for Villa either. I thought it was a good game fought by two teams that played pretty well. And in the end, yeah, I think it was a fair result again. I know Villa did have a couple of spells of dominance, but I think overall, I think it was pretty fair.
Then we had the big one. The game that everyone wanted to watch. A game that will be repeated for years upon years. Man United Spurs. What happened, mate?
Yeah, it was dreadful. And I mean, again, there's all the excuses of there was a red card. It was Bruno, captain, best player. We were terrible before the red. I actually think we were worse before the red card. I think if anything, we played a little bit better because we started to press bizarrely. Because apparently with 11 men, it makes sense to sit off and just kind of let you have the midfield. But with 10 men, we need to go for it. Apparently, yeah, really nuts, really, really nuts. Dreadful performance. Anana probably the only one that deserves any bit of credit for the game overall. There was a spell in the second half where Spurs really took their foot off the gas and it looked like bizarrely something might come. That kind of died back down and yeah. It was rough. It didn't look like players were making mistakes. It didn't look like players weren't up for it. They just looked lost and inferior. I actually can't blame the work rate. And Agate, Casemiro in the middle, there was maybe one little bit where, especially for Van der Ven's goal, where Rashford let him go a little bit. But I actually thought they worked quite hard, which is more alarming because it means it's a bigger problem. Yeah, he's got 2 games to save his job really now, I think. After winning the FA Cup, everyone wants it to work. We had loads of injuries last year. He had the benefit of the doubt. He's had the benefit of every doubt. There's no more now. He's got the players he wants. He's got a team that are not as bad as 12th, which is where they are now. He's got a team that should have beaten FC20, and now he's in a situation where he's got 2 really tough games coming up that he's got to win really, or maybe just can't lose. But I think he's probably got to win in Porto away, which is not going to be kind. I know Porto have had a tough start to the season, but that's a tough game. And Villa, and at the moment we're a mile off Villa.
Yeah.
So yeah. Again, everyone wants him to do well. Everyone wants it to turn around. Everyone is bored of this cycle of a couple of wins, a little bit of excitement, a little bit of an investment. It just kind of dies down and the football gets worse and worse. Bring someone else in and that cycle never breaks. So I think everyone would love Eric to be the one that breaks that cycle and ends up being Man United manager for 4 or 5 years and brings us back into a title race. But we've regressed an unbelievable amount from last year, and last year we finished 8th. So yeah, I don't quite know where we go from this. There's an international break coming up. Feeling has to be better than now, otherwise he won't be in charge during that break. I can't imagine. Yeah. That said, if Ineos did this review and think he's the right man, and they go, you know what? No, we're sticking with him. I know this is his 3rd year. He's getting a 4th. And they go, no, we're going to give him a new deal, but it's going to be on our terms. And he's going to get another year because we made the decision that he's the right man. He's had a mess to deal with, and we're going to give him that time. Good on him. But I don't see that, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I mean, I was quite surprised by how the game went. Before the red card, we should have been at least 2, maybe 3 up.
More than 2. More than 2.
Yeah, I only say at least 2 because of Werner's opportunity that he got a second chance at and still had the same outcome. We had 10 shots on target to your 2. You did have a good spell, but I never really felt too threatened. Obviously, anything
No.
can happen. It can be a deflection. It can be, and I knew that if you did get a goal, that could change the tide. But yeah, I think for a Spurs point of view, one of the best games we've played, certainly under Ange, and I think it's just still about killing teams off earlier, because you get the chances when a team is all over the shop. You've got to punish them. You can't just keep scaring them.
To give a team as bad as Man United were, with 10 men, a spell of dominance in the second half, that is alarming. I know you fully deserve to win the game, but there is no way you should have let that get out of your control for even a minute. It was so dominant.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time we stopped a team from having somewhat dominance in a part of a game. Even when we have 60-70% possession, we're like, oh no, go on, have a few shots, go on, you can do it. Way. But yeah, even you could feel it in the crowds as well. I think you could hear the Spurs fans chanting a lot and taking the mick, and
there was nothing to be real positive about. There was a spell where United fans were singing, but it wasn't for the team or the manager. It was just songs about the club. And that sums it up. At the moment, there was a spell maybe where Eric, he's not the most charismatic Eric, but
no.
You do like him. Those little speeches at the end of the season, they want to back the manager. There aren't, Martinez, other than that, it's hard to really get behind any of the players. So all there is to get behind the club. Whereas I think Spurs is the total opposite. You've got a manager that you want to love. It's hard not to. You've got players like Van der Ven, Romero, Son, Maddison, who can be exciting on his day. You've got those players you can get behind. Yeah, and that obviously goes a long way. I after that Coventry game where you were abysmal for however long, it looked poor, but we've made you look even better. It was a game that shouldn't ever, man for man on each team, shouldn't ever have gone that way before the red card. Because after the red card, granted, whatever happened, we sat off, we looked a little bit better somehow. But that little bit before the red card, man for man, those two teams, there is no way there should have been that gap in quality at all.
Yeah.
And that for me is down to the managers. Whether that is, it is both. Ange getting a decent amount out of a good group, and Eric at the moment getting very little out of an okay group. There is no way there should have been that gap in equality. 11 v 11 at Old Trafford. So yeah, you can't. You can blame the players, but you can't ignore the manager. Yeah, tough one, really tough one.
Yeah, and I just wanted to highlight Brennan Johnson. Obviously, he's now scored 4 goals in 4 games. Got an assist, albeit deflected too. And yeah, I think he's really, shone these last couple of weeks. And I saw that against other Premier League wingers, his stats per 90, he has the most touches in the box, the highest expected goals, the most tackles, the highest percentage of passes to penalty area, the second most shots, and the 4th most defensive duels. So he's doing the creative side, doing the attacking side. He hit the post as well against you, and he's also getting back, and he's doing. I noticed that as well. He does so much better at getting back now. He knows his responsibilities, and he's doing them more professionally. So I'm really happy for him. He's still only 23, so he's got a long career ahead of him still, and I just hope that he can keep going.
Yeah, and another thing that we have to add in is you've got Son to come back as well. And obviously, I mean, Richarlison, but you'd imagine he'd be on the bench, yeah. But yeah, to add Son into that mix of an informed Brennan Johnson, Maddison, obviously Werner hasn't been scoring. I thought he was okay. I didn't.
Has
think
he
was
ever
that
been
bad.
scoring?
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
That's the thing though. He could get past Mazraoui easy enough.
Yeah,
we were in
I thought he
behind,
played okay.
and then
Yeah,
there was chances where he could pull it back. There was chances where he could cross. Everything
yeah.
was off target. It was just how. I don't want to get back into it because.
But to add into that, Son and obviously Solanke scoring.
Yeah.
That's a strong front line, and I mean we all know the talent of your back four. So
yeah.
that's a really strong middle and end. If you can get the midfield right.
Yeah, I thought Bentancur's quite good because you see the holding mid's more disciplined now. Last season, the whole midfield would sort of go forward, as well as now, someone's always staying back. Even the left back, whether it was Udogie or Spence, would tend to stay back more than Porro. So we're enabling ourselves to have more defensive cover because we know that we've got enough bodies going forward. When you've got Kulusevski and Maddison, that's a fair bit of creativity in the midfield.
Yeah.
So you don't need all three going up. And it seems to be working quite well. I know we're certainly not exactly where we want to be, but the signs are there that this can work, and I'm just hoping we can push on and a few more players can get confidence from it. I mean, Solanke's now scored 3 in 3 as well, so you're starting to see some consistency, and it's just, okay, Son will come back, hopefully he can score a few more, because I think he's got more assists than goals this season. But, I think we'd still expect more from him. So I think it is promising. And, in a month's time, it could be, down to the trenches again, but you never know. But yeah, I'm quite positive about the future at the minute.
Nice.
Okay, so the final game of the week last night. Bournemouth against Southampton. Now, I did watch this one, and got to be honest, Bournemouth were all over them. I mean, 3-0 up at half time. I think the first goal was a quick free kick that Evan Nilsson, does well to get on the end of and hit first time into the bottom corner. Then the second goal, I'll give Southampton the benefit of the doubt because it's a sort of low-driven shot that deflects off Utah and goes in. And then the third goal was shambolic, I thought. Semenyo out on the right. I mean, you know what I think of Semenyo. He's one of my favourite non-Spurs players. And he cuts in on his left. There's about 3 players that all go with him. And then he just cuts into the box. And they're all like, oh God, oh. And then he just hits it across goal and in. It's like, how have you all just followed that? Like, no one's thought, okay, I'm going to stop this in case he tries to go into the box here. It's everyone's like, oh, let's hope he doesn't shoot on his left. It just frustrates me so much because it's you can't be doing that in the Prem,
Yeah, I thought they were really, really bad in the first half. I thought they were better in the second half, Southampton, but
well, they won the second half.
Well, yeah, I thought Bournemouth were okay. Yeah, Bournemouth were good. Got to give them credit. It's kind of a clash of two styles, really. Watching the build-up before with, I think either Carragher or Graham Potter said it, in that you've got one team that wants to suffocate the other with possession, and the other team that is very kind of Bielsa-led vertical play, not long ball, not always kind of 11 players out, really high pressing, but kind of more interested in how they can get the ball into an important area quickly. And at the end of the day, Bournemouth have the players to do it the way they want. Southampton don't have the players to play the ball for 70 minutes. Bournemouth have players that can play that vertical way and do it okay. It's also easier to get those types of players for a Premier League standard. Southampton are playing a version of football that, for me, you need to be spending 50, 60 million on every position. So, pretty much what I expected, to be honest. the highlight of the game, I thought, was Graham Potter talking on Monday Night Football, because he was more
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah,
It was nice. It was
actually
nice
quite nice
seeing,
to
to
see
be
him.
honest.
Yeah.
I don't expect it to be that long before he gets a job again. I think, you know,
He's
you
been
can
offered a
see-
few, hasn't he, as well?
Yeah.
Like Ajax, he was offered, and he seems like an intelligent bloke. He seems like he's waiting for something. Maybe it is the England job. I don't know.
I think that because of how bad it went at Chelsea and the amount of sort of abuse he got and his family as well, it's a sort of like, okay, I just need to step back, because that's you know, I doubt he's experienced anything like that before, and that is the sad side of football. But yeah, I hope he can come back, because he's definitely a talented coach. He can get a lot out of players. I just think Chelsea's a bit of a poison chalice. You know, it might look nice having all that money and whatnot, but it can hurt you quite badly.
Yeah.
There was one last thing I wanted to say about Bournemouth.
Oh yeah,
So-
go for it.
I do like how they play, but in terms of results, that was only their second win of the season. I know we're 6 games in, but their only other win was that comeback against Everton. So it is a little bit like, okay, to me they feel a little bit like Palace in the sense of they can play well, they've got good players, but they're capable of a bit more, you know, just a bit more. And they've had some difficult games, don't get me wrong, but I just think they can go up another gear, and you know, maybe they'll push on now before the international break. I know, is it Bournemouth that I think have City after the international break?
I think
So-
they've got a couple of tough games. I
Yeah.
can't remember if it's City, but they definitely have a couple of tough
Yeah.
ones. Yeah.
Yeah, because Sky were doing interviews before the end of the game, which was
I saw that. Yeah,
Weird.
that was bizarre, wasn't it? With a couple of minutes to go, and
yeah.
they've got Tavernier just kind of
Yeah.
standing chatting. That was bizarre.
strange. Because I could hear them talking. I was like, "Where's that?" And then I could just see, like, just outside the tunnel, they were interviewing him. And I was like, "Can you not wait 5 minutes for the game to be over?" But yeah, I think, you know, Bournemouth will be mid-table, maybe could push into top half, but they'll just need to get a good run of games going, I think.
Yeah, no, agree. Yeah, interesting what you said about Bournemouth only being their second win. They do obviously fly under the radar because they are not always of massive interest for the media. But they're a really interesting team to watch, and they're quite an enjoyable team to watch, no matter who they play. Yeah, I hope Bournemouth do well, and I do like the manager, I have to say, Iraola. All right, so we are on the Immaculate Footy website, as always. Sponsorship is available should you be interested. We also love their website, FBref. So again, a free plug for them. But yes, so we're going to fill out a grid. It's number 133. It's actually today's grid. And the teams on the top are Arsenal, Leeds, and a World Cup goal. So not a team. And then on the side, we have Everton, Norwich, and Portugal. So, Jake, do you want to kick us off with one you can think of?
Well, I don't know why, but I'm just going to go with Arsenal, Portugal, because it's a bit different. And I'm going to go Fabio Vieira.
Fabio Vieira. My thought for that was Cedric. I was trying to go a little bit different, but yeah, Fabio Vieira I think will be quite
Just spell his
low.
name.
34% Fabio Vieira, not too bad.
Okay.
I was going to go with Leeds and Portugal, but I actually can't think. Oh, I can. I'm going to go with Leeds and Portugal. I'm just trying to find him on the list so I don't get his name wrong. And I am going to go with. I can't see him. As a player, this is. I'm not looking at the answers. I'd like to preface. I'm not cheating. All right. In that case, maybe I won't go with Leeds and Portugal. I will go with Oh, this is actually a bit harder than I thought it would be. Let's go with. Trying to think who's in the championship right now. The World Cup goal's really throwing me. I'll go with Ronaldo for Portugal in the World Cup goal because I think that's going to be a nicer way to do this. We'll try and tick off the easier ones.
Yep. I'll go with
Vieira and Ronaldo.
Yeah, I'll go with Arsenal, Everton, and I'll go with Arteta.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Arsenal and Everton, Arteta.
Prick.
Nice.
What?
I'm really struggling today. I will go with.
Oh, okay.
Go on, you can go again if you want.
Okay. Well, I was going to say I know the last two World Cup goals, but I'll go for Norwich World Cup goal, and I'll go for Kane.
Oh, that is a cop out.
What did he play? What? Look,
Yeah.
we'll see at the end.
No,
how
that is a cop
many
out.
they have. He's 75%. So. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't think of anyone. I can't imagine Timu Pukki scored a World Cup goal.
Has he
That was
played
my
in the
only
World
guess.
Cup?
Probably not. Yeah. Everton in a World Cup goal was, for some reason, harder than I thought it would be.
I think there's one that you'd kick yourself for.
Can't remember Calvert-Lewin scoring a World Cup goal.
I was thinking a little older.
I can't even remember the last World Cup. Trying to go recent. Right, Norwich and Leeds has got to be doable, doesn't it? Let's go with Sam Byram for Norwich and Leeds, because I know that's right.
Norwich and Leeds.
Yeah. The player I was thinking of for Leeds and Portugal, I still can't remember his name, so I'm going to have to go with someone else for that as well. So we filled in Arteta for Arsenal. Right, let's go. So I'll try and fill in another one then. So Arsenal and Norwich. Arsenal and Norwich. Arsenal and Norwich. If not, there's Leeds and Everton. I could do Leeds and Everton. Let's go with that, and I'll go with Jack Harrison.
Yep.
Because I'm pretty sure he's still on loan from Leeds.
Yeah, I think they did loan him back.
Right, so that leaves us with Everton and a World Cup goal, Arsenal and Norwich, and Leeds and Portugal.
Now, I can do Everton in a World Cup goal, but I do want to get someone a bit more, out there.
All right, I'll keep thinking of Arsenal and Norwich.
So, do I be a sellout again? That's the question. Thing is, with Everton, they've had a lot. Oh, yeah. Actually, I'll do that. I will go Everton World Cup goal, James Rodriguez.
Oh, that is a good one. Yeah, I like that.
There we go. I was going to say.
Who's your fault, Richarlison?
Oh, well, yeah. I didn't think of him actually. I was going to say Rooney, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was like, you might kick yourself if you can't think of any.
Right, so that leaves us with Arsenal and Norwich, which for some reason I am having a nightmare with, and Leeds and Portugal. Portuguese and Leeds.
Portugueser.
I thought Junior Firpo might have been Portuguese, but I'm sure he just recently switched his allegiance to the Dominican Republic. So I'm not sure that's going to count. And he might have been Spanish as well, to be fair. Portugal. God, this is proving quite hard. Kiko Casilla is Spanish. Have you got any thoughts on Arsenal and Norwich?
No. I don't feel like they've done much business, so it'll be someone that's, gone to a couple of clubs in between.
I'm trying to think Arsenal players that might have gone to Norwich on the way out before they retire. Sebastian Bassong, but I think he played for Spurs, not Arsenal, didn't he?
He did play for Spurs, yeah.
Yeah, Alex Tetty, I don't remember. Oh, if he played for Arsenal, that said, I'm not even sure if he played for Norwich. I'm not sure if he played for either. I was suggesting Isaac Hayden. I have a feeling.
I think he played for Norwich.
I have a feeling he came through Arsenal's academy.
Does that count?
That's another very good question.
I think they have to have played a senior game. Didn't we check before?
Yeah, that might be right. Okay. Well, we'll keep that one on hold. Leeds and Portugal, you got any ideas?
No.
No, neither do I.
Trying to think of Portuguese players, and
I'm normally thinking like wingers.
yeah, that's what I've been thinking. Wasn't like Ivan Carvalho. Did he ever spell at Leeds?
He might have. That could be a good shout. I know he played for Wolves.
And Fulham, I think.
Yeah. Well, I guess if you're going with Wolves, 99% of them have played for
Portugal. Yeah. Yeah, why can it be Wolves in Portugal?
Carvalho might not be a bad shout.
Yeah.
Helder Costa, I think, but he might have only played for Wolves. I think he went on loan at Leeds.
God.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll go with Isaac Hayden for Arsenal and Norwich, and I'll tell you if that's right or wrong.
Has he pulled a rabbit out of the hat?
Hayden. That is right.
Oh, well done.
3%. I think I did quite well with that one.
Yeah, you did.
Right. So, last thoughts. Have we got anyone for Leeds and Portugal? All right. Are we gonna have a couple of guesses? I've got 4 guesses left on mine because I haven't put them all in, so we can have 4 goes if you think of any players.
I think it locks you out of having another guess on the same one.
I don't think it does.
Doesn't it? Might have been a different one that does that.
Ivan Cavallero. Shall I give that a go?
Yeah, however you say it.
No, right. We've got 3 more. If you can think of any. I went with Firpo as well. Let's see. No, he was wrong.
Come on. It's going to be someone obvious.
I think it is. That's the bit that's really frustrating. Neves, Matinho, no. Pablo Hernandez is Spanish. Can't think of a goalkeeper. I can't think of anyone. I can't think of one.
Do we call it there then?
Yeah, I think we'll have to. Okay. Right, so there was 1. And it was... there were 3. It says there were 1, but there were 3 apparently. Felipe da Costa, who played 4 games and a total of 32 minutes.
Yeah.
Diego Montero, who doesn't ring a bell, but is very recent. Yeah. In fact, might even still be at Leeds.
Played 26.
And Bruno Ribeiro, who played from 1997 till 1998. So I don't think we were ever getting any of those 3. Montero's maybe a little bit annoying because he's only just come to Leeds by the looks of it. That said, he has spent most of his minutes playing in Leeds' Premier League 2 team. I'm not even sure if he has a Premier League minute or a first team minute, not Premier League minute.
Right. So I've just seen that Everton had 25 World Cup goal scorers.
Oh, wow.
So they had Lukaku, obviously Richarlison, Rooney. Didn't know there were so many.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, you cannot see the other 2 Norwich World Cup goal scorers because there was 3 in total.
Ross Barkley played for Leeds and Everton.
Oh.
That is not one I knew, I have to say. But yeah. All right, well, shall we call it there?
Yeah, can do.
I have got an outro from Copilot if you'd like to hear it.
Oh, let's have it.
All right. So, and that is a wrap up for this episode of Football with the Faff. We hope you enjoyed our attempt to make sense of the beautiful game's numbers. Remember, we're just two students who love football and think calculators are cool. If you enjoyed our statistical shenanigans, please don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on Spotify. Your feedback helps us pretend we know what we're doing. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, keep crunching those numbers and enjoying the game. Oh dear, this one's really bad. And remember, if our stats don't add up, it's probably because we were too busy arguing about who makes the best half-time snacks. Not sure where that's come from or why that is in there, but yeah. See you soon on Football with the Faff.
If anyone wants to sponsor us for some half-time snacks. Oh my God. That is... Well, I think we've got a few more years before it takes over the world.
Yeah, I think we're all right for a while. Yeah. Oh dear.
Thank you for joining us. A like and a follow is greatly appreciated. And don't forget, you can rate if you're listening on Spotify. This has been Football with the Faff. Goodbye.